Hey everybody, Dr. Phil here. This is going to be a video on data visualization and how you can use it to report results. So let's go ahead and jump right into the video. So the first thing I want to talk about as we jump in is data visualization. It's a term you hear a lot to make sure everybody understands what it is. So visualization gives you answers to questions you didn't know you had. That's a quote from Ben Schneiderman, professor at the University of Maryland. So it presents the results of the analysis in an accessible way using charts or graphs, right? You've all heard the expression, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So people retain 95% of visual messages compared to around 10% of text messages. So obviously it's beneficial if you can take text and you can convert it into graphics. Chart is a general or a broader term. Graphs, tables, and diagrams are obviously all types of charts. So some visualization tools. Excel is a very, you don't really think of Excel as necessarily a data visualization tool, but it is. There's some, it's pretty rudimentary, but there's some, basic visualization stuff you can do in Excel. Easily make a pie chart, bar chart, line graph, histogram, etc. Um, and then we've also got a little more sophisticated tools like Power BI and Tableau. So we typically use these for like large data sets. If we want to blend and merge data sets, you can also use them for things like charts and dashboards. So selecting a chart. So here are some questions to help guide you when you're trying to select a chart. So the first is, what business question are you trying to answer? Number two, who is the target audience for the visualization? Number three, which type of data is being visualized, categorical or numerical? And number four, what type of analysis have you performed, exploratory or confirmatory? So with respect to the couple of terms there, categorical versus numerical. So categorical, think about the name categorical to categorize. So we're going to things like nominal and ordinal. Numerical, of course, is just numbers that could be continuous or discrete. Exploratory versus confirmatory. Exploratory is typically historical data, descriptive and diagnostic analytics would fall under that purview. Confirmatory, the probability of a future event, predictive and prescriptive analytics. So charts for categorical data. So a pie chart would be a very common one. This is just going to split us into proportions as we see in the example pie chart below. Um, Five or less categories is somewhat of a rule. I mean, if you could probably do more than that if you wanted to, but there's no point having a pie chart with 30 categories, right? Probably five is about kind of where you would want to cut it off. If you, in the sense that if you had more than five, you may want to think about using something different for the data visualization. Bar charts are very common. This gives us a proportion of each category. It's easier to interpret than a pie chart. And it's stacked bar charts where bars are basically subdivided by category. And we see an example of a pie chart and a bar chart visualization as shown below. We could also maybe use a heat map, daily unit sales by employee. In this case, we can see the days along the top, and then the employees along the side here. So the strengths of a heat map, we can visualize data across multiple categories, patterns and correlation. The weakness is not it's not an exact proportional number, right? So like if we look at like Collins on Monday is blue, that tells us that it's blue, but it doesn't give us an exact number. Now, exploratory visualizations, let's talk about those for a little bit. Initial descriptive and diagnostic analytics. So we can understand historic data to generate questions and hypotheses. Charts can be, again, bar charts, line charts are good at showing time series data. We could potentially sort those chronologically, so like in time order. But that would be more of a trend, not particularly precise. And as we looked at previously, we could also potentially use pie charts. Line charts are pretty common. This is an example of annual net income for Amazon from, we can see 2012 base year all the way through, looks like 2021. You kind of see how that's grown over the years quite substantially. Blocks and whisker plots, probably did these in school, probably high school or maybe middle school. It just gives us a data distribution. It helps us to identify outliers. And this would fall, you don't see too many of these in data visualizations, but this would fall under the realm and under the purview of descriptive statistics. Pivot tables and pivot charts. Other examples, of course, Excel is it's very easy to do. Very easy to do. It's very easy to do a pivot table, a pivot chart in Excel. This is Excel output, right? You do that, click a couple of buttons, and you can get your in this case, total gross margin in March. Uh, all of this would take a few minutes. Dashboards. I wanted to touch on dashboards in this video because they're becoming increasingly. I say becoming. I mean, they've been around for a while now. They kind of tell a business's life story. They combine multiple visualizations, tables, and key performance measures, and they're static versus interactive. So interactive provides specified details to drill down or up and through the data. So you could really have either type of dashboard, static or interactive. Now, the ways a chart might quote unquote lie, confuse or manipulate and mislead, it could be designed poorly, use of incorrect or inappropriate amount of data, suggestion of misleading patterns, support for pre-existing desired outcomes, opinions or assumptions, or an unclear communication of uncertainty. An executive summary is something that you would typically see in a business plan. It's less than a page long. It would include a statement of the problem, the question, or opportunity that initiated the business analytics project, a concise description of why the project is relevant to the audience, and a summary of the results, and often brief recommendations. And of course, it's a summary because, yeah, this is part of a business plan, and you would indeed submit the whole business plan, right? But you know, a busy executive does not have time to sit there and read through, a 20, 50, 100-page business plan, right? They just need something short and concise, succinct, to the point. This is what we're trying to do. This is the problem or opportunity or the question. This is why it's relevant. Here are the results, and here are the recommendations. And a full report, like I say, of course, would be longer. The executive summary is also always at the beginning. So it's the first thing that the executives would see. A description of the methods used would be an expanded summary of the results, where we would show pertinent data outputs with the appropriate interpretations, data visualizations to, of course, communicate the findings, and expanded recommendations. Effective communications, certainly effective storytelling, being able to use the data to, kind of tell the story, as we say. Describe data and results accurately and without bias is important. Definitely without bias is important. Use appropriate chart types, labels, and axes, and tailor the report format and language to the target audience. So think about, that's not always easy to do because the audience might be diverse, but, what best gets the message across to the people I'm trying to communicate this over to. All right, short video here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in a future video. Take care.